Matt Ramsden, Senior Editor, Kent Messenger Group.
Welcome to the Cherrywood Podcast. It's Simon here.
It's Rachel here.
Please like, share and subscribe. Welcome everybody back to the Cherrywood Podcast. We're back with Matt Ramsden from the KM Group. All right, Matt?
Hello, how are you?
Nice to see you again. Last time we see you, we were talking about Pride in Medway, which was about 2 months ago, I think.
It was just before Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Pride in Medway, by the time this comes out, has already happened. So well done to the winners. They were amazing. We don't actually know them yet because it's recorded beforehand, but you were amazing. Everyone, all the entries were amazing. So I can tell you that for starters because we have read them all. Okay, Matt, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Very well. How are you?
Good. Yeah, fine. You don't feel you have to lean in. You're fine.
Okay,
You're
all
fine.
right.
And do you want to tell us about yourself? And then once we've got a bit of a title about you, we'll go to sponsors.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, a bit of blurb.
Yeah, okay. So, I'm Matt. I'm a Senior Editor with the Kent Messenger Group, based here in Medway, but obviously we cover the entire county of Kent. I oversee a team of reporters who produce Kent Online, produce several newspapers. They feed into KM FM, KM TV, podcasts, newsletters, a whole range of multimedia stuff. And that's about it.
Perfect. We're going to go see sponsors, and then when we come back, we'll talk to Matt in depth. Boom.
Today's sponsors are Medici Associates, Chartered Structural and Civil Engineers.
Based in the UK with a worldwide reach.
Visit their website on demediciassociates.com.
Put your business in front of 30,000 new customers with the Hindsight Directory. This A5 full-colour magazine is delivered by Royal Mail to Maidstone, Gravesend, Medway and Bromley, with more areas to come. Visit hindsightdirectory.co.uk. Need stunning video or photography for your big day or even your business? Cherrywood Production delivers award-winning results with a personal touch. From weddings to promotional content, we turn your vision into reality. Visit cherrywoodpro.com today. Your memories, our passion.
Okay, we're back. Sponsors are good, weren't they, Rach?
Yeah, very good.
Who were they?
DiGiorgio's, Snug Doves, no?
You got one right. Okay. But you've just given someone a free advertisement. Right, Matt, lovely to see you again. Right, let's talk about how you got to KM Group. I was going to say KMFM then, but I suppose I'm right.
It's part of the same group. Yeah, so I joined the KM 18 years ago, and I saw a job advertised as editor for the paper on the Isle of Sheppey, the Sheerness Times Guardian, and I really fancied like an ultra-local newspaper as my first editorship, and I applied and got the job, said I'd stay for 2 years, and 18 years later, I'm still...
So you must like it then?
Yeah. I mean, the job's changed a lot over the years. I've moved around quite a bit in that time, and every year we seem to evolve into something else. So it's the same company, but very much different jobs.
Okay, so was this your goal in life to be in this sort of role from a young age?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned last time I was on, I became a journalist because I'm really nosy. really nice. And I've always, from the get-go, from a really young age, I've been really inquisitive and asking questions. So it just seemed like a natural fit to do this. So all the way through school, did my A-levels, then went and studied to become a journalist, and then got into the industry. And I've never really wanted to do anything else.
So what was your first role then after school?
So my first job was on my local paper in a place called Retford. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's in North Nottinghamshire,
right? Okay,
near the South Yorkshire border, and that was like, it started off as work experience, and it kind of turned into part-time role as well,
right?
And then a full-time job came up, and I applied for it and didn't get it.
Oh,
heartbreaking.
Oh, I can imagine.
Can you imagine? I'm still trying to get...
Still getting over it now.
It's cutting deep.
I'm sure you've done it right since.
That's right. So that was my first role, and then I moved over to South Africa, as I mentioned last time I was on, and that was probably my first proper newsroom role.
Yeah. So the person that was on before you was a tattoo artist called Jason King. He was South African, wasn't he?
Okay.
And then the person before that was Mary Jane, and she lived in South Africa as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know why, but we're getting a lot of South African-based stuff, which is great. But tell us your experience in South Africa, because I know they're different to Mary Jane's, definitely.
Right, okay.
Who lived there for I don't know what she said.
17 years, I think.
Yeah.
she
Oh,
said.
really?
Yeah.
Did she mention where she lived? Do you remember?
It was somewhere near Johannesburg. It wasn't
Right,
too
okay.
far
Right.
out of Johannesburg.
Yeah. I mean, it's an amazing country, and there's a lot of people you'll find in Kent especially who've lived in South Africa and spent time there, and a lot of South Africans who moved over here for various reasons as well. So I went there for the first time in 1996. And did some sort of part-time jobs, barman, making braking parts for Mercedes-Benz cars. And,
Wicked.
yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
that was really hard work. That was.
Can I just ask first why you moved over there? What was the initial move for?
It's a real sliding doors moment, this,
Right.
because I mentioned that I didn't get the job at my local paper, so I'm really down in the dumps about this, really depressed about it. My mate Dan says, "Let's go to the pub and have a couple of drinks." Go to the pub. I meet a South African girl, and several months later, I'm living in South Africa.
Wow.
So that door at my local paper closed,
Yeah.
and almost immediately another one opened.
Nice.
That's unbelievable,
So
isn't it?
yeah, so it's just although I was a bit gutted to start with, it's actually one of the best things that ever happened to me, not getting that job.
Brilliant.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying
It's okay.
about cars.
Yeah, so I was doing all these sort of jobs, and then I thought, well, I'm here. They've got a very famous newspaper in the city I was living in, a place called East London, a paper called the Daily Dispatch. There's a film a long time ago called Cry Freedom. I don't know if you remember. It was based on people who worked at that paper.
Oh, right.
And it's quite a famous film back in the 80s, a long time ago. And the paper had a really good name. And I thought, well, I'm going to go and see if I can get a job. So literally walk off the street. I have to speak to the editor or the news editor. And I'm just sat there waiting, and no one's coming. And they said, "I still want to be here to see you in a bit." Like 10 minutes go by, 20 minutes go by, half an hour goes by.
I think someone's in the office going, let's see how long we can wait.
I think, oh, can someone just get rid of them?
Yeah.
So,
no, you go. No, you go.
So I'm thinking, it gets like 45 minutes. And I'm thinking, oh God, this don't want to talk to me. So I get up to leave, and then this guy comes bounding down the stairs. "I'm so sorry to keep you waiting, being caught up in something. Come up and have a chat." And then another nice coincidence, a sliding doors moment, I suppose, is that I got chatting to him, and during the 1970s, he toured around Europe, this guy, and he spent time in Nottingham, close to where I'm from. And he said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Retford." He goes, "Oh yeah, I was there for a week." And he told me all about the pub. All about the pub. Where I
And
used to
there's
drink.
me, been in England for 50 years and never been there.
No, we don't know.
And it's like just complete coincidence. He knew exactly where I
Wow.
came from. He says, "What do you want?" I said, well, ideally a job. And then, to cut a long story short, I ended up working there.
Wow.
Yeah, just complete luck that he was there and I was there at the same time.
Yeah. So what did they get you to do at first then? Was it sort of like a basic role and then you worked your way
Yeah,
up? Or?
so like most reporters when they start off, you do like a general news reporting role. So it's a bit of everything. So you can get some experience and confidence and build yourself up. So it was everything. A lot of human interest stories, a lot of soft stories, just to get used to the place and the people, and learn how to sort of do the job as a reporter. Really. So it was all sorts of stuff.
So how would you compare that paper to a paper in England? What would it be sort of level with?
So it's a big regional paper, or it was when I was there. So it'd be like its circulation area.
Don't say Sunday Sport.
No. That was my dream, but it never happened. But it'd be like an Evening Standard, like an London
Right,
Evening Standard.
okay.
So a big regional title, covering an area.
Going there straight away is amazing.
The circulation area was the size of England.
Oh, wow.
So there'd be
goodness.
days you'd get a knock on your door at 7 a.m. from a photographer saying we're off to the airport and we're going on a job, and we'd fly to assignments. Wow. And there's one occasion where we did that and we flew for about 2 hours to this place called Port St John's because a ship was sinking, a big tanker was sinking out at sea. And the pilot says, "Right, we're going to land now." And I could not see a runway anywhere. And I think, where the bloody hell are we going to land? It's at the top of this mountain, and we fly up to the top of the mountain, and there's kind of a runway, but there's cattle all over it. There's cattle.
Oh my God.
So he goes, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. And he just started buzzing the cows, like going in.
Right.
And I'm sat in the back going, what?
How big was the plane? Like a four-seater?
It was like a four-seater. So the photographer sat in the front, me in the back, and the pilot. But that was a real South African experience. The part of the world I was in, the Eastern Cape, it's a bit wild. It's a bit, I used to say it's like the Wild East, not the Wild West.
Right.
And they're all like that. And, you know, some people have here like the computer says no mentality.
Yeah.
Let's fill out a form. Let's have some process and procedure. They just don't have that there. They don't even turn the computer on, so you can never say no.
But things get done.
But things get done.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, we've got a problem with this kettle. I'm going to go 10 feet above them.
Yeah.
So you finally land.
No risk assessment.
No. I mean, if it had gone badly wrong, that would have been it. It would have been, well, he was a nice bloke, Matt. You know?
or nice burgers, you know.
We'll be sitting here, empty seat.
That's right. Yeah. So it was general news doing crazy stuff like that, and also doing stuff that you do here, like 100th birthdays, you know.
Oh.
And there's you say all of it. There was one I had to go to. Do you watch Afterlife, the Ricky Gervais show?
Yeah.
There was that episode where he goes to interview a 100-year-old woman.
Yes.
And she is as miserable as anything.
That was me. That happened to me. So Enid, what's it like?
You are allowed to swear, by the way, if you want to.
So what's it like to be 100? Horrible. Okay. Why is it horrible? I want to die. Why do I want to die? And basically, her husband had died 40 years previously, and she just wanted to be reunited. She's quite a big Christian, wanted to be reunited with her husband, and she was just waiting to die.
Yeah,
and
it's sad, isn't it?
And she kept saying this. And her son, who's 80, is like, he's rushing around. Oh, Mum, you don't mean that. You don't mean that. And he's like an old man as well.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole
amazing,
thing was surreal. So did that, wrote it up.
What did you write?
Well, not much.
She said no.
Yeah. Next year, she's 101. I've got to go back.
Oh, no.
It's
And like,
me again.
so I'm thinking, oh, I don't know what to ask her. I mean, so it's basically a carbon copy of like the first interview. So,
Oh my goodness.
so you did traditional local newspaper, regional newspaper, stuff like that.
I suppose Afterlife is really good for you to watch, isn't it? Because it's very similar, isn't it?
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of mad and crazy people out there. You won't believe some of the stuff we have to go and do.
That guy had been posting his letters for years in a dog bin. So funny. You haven't seen Afterlife, have you?
Yeah.
One of the things I had to go to, one of the stories, this guy is partially sighted, I think, and he's been posting his letters in a dog waste bin because it's red for years, wondering why nothing's been coming back.
Yeah. He would complain and didn't get Christmas cards from him.
So funny.
So that was that really. So the first year was very much just general news and a bit of everything.
This is going to sound weird, but were the stories different from, obviously because it's South Africa and South Africa does get a bit of a bad rep sometimes. Were they slightly different, or could you tell the difference between England and South Africa reporting? If that made sense?
A lot of them very similar, because although it's a different country, there's a lot of similarities. Like everyone speaks English, not always as their first language, but everyone will speak a level of English, and then all the institutions are the same. Like so, it's very familiar. So that the way the country runs, like the government runs, and the police run, the councils run, is all very similar to here, and they're all sports mad, the same as us as well. So very familiar, but at the same time, you had different cultures. So the local black population were from the Xhosa tribe. It's a clique.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's spelled XSOSA. So, but it's Xhosa.
How do you write the click?
Well, you don't.
Is it just a part of?
You just pronounce it. So in their language, there's different clicks. There's an X, which is a then there's a Q, which is a and then there's a C, which is a th.
Oh my gosh.
My in-laws speak it fluently.
Really?
Yeah. My father-in-law is trilingual.
Right.
So he can rattle it off.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Well, we were there last year and went out for dinner. And I love my father-in-law, but he's a miserable old git at times, and he just loves complaining. So we had dinner, and he gets a beetroot salad, which he's not happy about because there's not enough beetroot in it. So he calls the waiter over, who's an English speaker. So he's complaining about nothing on beetroot. The manager then hears there's some problem. Manager comes over, who's an Afrikaans speaker. So my father starts speaking to them in Afrikaans. And then the chef comes out and he's a closer speaker. So my father-in-law now starts speaking to him in closer. And at one point, he's speaking to all three of them in all their languages.
That's amazing.
Like
Oh
bang,
my
bang,
God.
bang, 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 and like that. And you sit back and think, God, that is quite interesting.
Yeah.
You can moan in 3 different languages.
That's right. Yeah.
And we can't even speak one.
Yeah. So you'd have a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a real melting pot, South Africa, and massive inequalities. You've got uber rich people. I mean, seriously rich people in mansions that you wouldn't believe. And then down the road, you've got people living in what you call informal settlements, which are squatter camps. So you've got poverty and wealth very close by.
Side by side.
So you do traditional stuff you do here, like that old lady, but then you'd be going into an informal settlement where there's no running water, there's no electricity, there's no roads. People, you're born there. Your chances of getting out of there are very limited.
Wow.
You know, at the time I was there, massive problem with HIV/AIDS.
Right, yeah.
There's one occasion I went into a shack. It was a story about the weather. So there'd been like days and days of heavy rain.
Right.
And I went into the shack to speak to people what it was like living this. And I kicked something. And I thought, some rags on the floor. And then I looked down, and then it wasn't rags. It was an emaciated person, and they opened their eyes, and I was impressed, and they were dying of AIDS.
My God.
They probably had hours left.
Wow.
My good.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so you had a lot of that, which was horrible. But you toughen up very quickly there.
Yeah.
It's not a place for the faint-hearted.
I was going to say, yeah, that aside, did you feel in danger there when you was down in those places?
Not really. There were times, there's some iffy times where things went a bit wrong, and I'll come on to that in a bit. But not really. I mean, you'd go into these places.
I keep thinking District 9 when you describe those sort of places.
that was in Cape Town. Yeah,
Yeah.
But I mean, the paper, the Dispatch, it was a really big anti-apartheid campaigning paper. So in the black community, it had a really good reputation. So you go into these places, you say where you're from, and come, you'll be welcomed. I'm told by colleagues that's changed a bit now. Some of the places that I'd go, they said we wouldn't go in there now.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to say to you, do you feel it's improved since you've been gone, or is it?
Yeah. Oh, it's changed. I mean, I don't want to criticise South Africa. I love the place. I absolutely love it. I love the people. I'm married to South African, and I'll probably end up living there, I think.
Yeah,
I'll probably
I'm
end up going back there. It's a fantastic place to go. It has got its problems, but everywhere has. And yeah, if you're sensible, you'll be fine.
It always seems to be the security of your home, that type of thing, where it's always guarded and gated.
Yeah.
And was yours?
Yeah, I mean, I live in loads of places, and there's always different levels of security.
Yeah.
The mansions, they've got 10-foot high walls with razor wire and private security guards driving around and everything. And at first, it's quite intimidating, that is. But you'd be surprised how quickly you get used to it. And
But in this country, apart from like obviously the security guard, you would find that anyway, wouldn't you? You know, if you had a massive house, a stately mansion,
There'd be a bit more security.
you would
yeah.
have
There'd be-
higher security,
Yeah,
with
cameras and
massive
everything, yeah.
walls, cameras everywhere. Maybe not the barbed wire on the top,
Yeah, but I
you'd
think
have something.
in my head, the
wouldn't
frequency is far greater there.
you? I think so.
yeah, it is. I mean, you've got a lot of people living in poverty. The
Nothing to lose.
And unemployment rate is huge. It's really high. So you're going to have that, and until they can start sorting the economy out properly, creating jobs, you're gonna have that. But it's not. I mean, I took my entire family out last year, so I've got quite a few members of the family who had never been before. I pick them up at the airport, and they're, oh God, we're a bit nervous about this. I said, don't be nervous. And then within a couple of days, they said, I don't know what I was nervous about. It's like what we imagine Australia to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you do notice around the place the poverty. You'll notice that the informal settlements here and there around the city. Yeah.
You ever been robbed of anything while I've been there?
No, never. I've never fell victim to a crime myself, but
Let's find some wood. That is definitely wood if you want to touch it.
but I mean, I'll tell you how I became the crime reporter, and I got so much access to crime. It's unreal. So I I was on duty on Christmas, and the crime reporter was off. He'd gone off for Christmas, and because I was new, I was required to do the Christmas shift.
Yeah.
And I just really
shift.
What is a Christmas shift? A newspaper?
No, so you're on duty. So if anything happens over that period,
so
you'll get the call,
you've got to
and
get
you've got to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even think.
So I enjoyed that, and then I said to my boss, "Can I have a chance at being the crime reporter?" Because the guy Lucas who was doing it, he wasn't that fussed, and he said, "All right, we'll do it." I said, "Is it any qualifications you need to do this job?" And he says, "Have you got a strong stomach?" I said, "Yes." He said,
Done.
You're employed, yeah. And I went and met the new head of communications at the police, a guy called Eddie, who I'm still friends with now. And he said, "What do you want from us?" I said, "Look, I just want to know when something big happens. I just want to know so that we can get there and we can cover it. You know, we're quite want to be proactive about this." He says, "All right, I'll see what I can do." 2:00 the next morning, my phone goes. It's Eddie saying Duncan Village, which is a massive, sprawling, informal settlement, is on fire. He said it's inferno. People are being killed. There's shacks destroyed. It's a major incident. Do you want to go? I said, yeah. I said, yeah. It's 2 a.m. Yeah, definitely. He says, there's a police car outside your house.
Oh my God. So you're literally okay.
Yeah, so into the car and straight there. And there's always been an iffy relationship between the press and the police through the apartheid times, and it just changed. When I got there, it changed, and the police said, "Look, we need to try and get on with each other now. So we'll help you if you scratch our backs as well with decent coverage." So we did that, and for 2 years, I went from crime scene to crime scene to crime scene with Eddie and his colleagues, who were quite senior officers. And if ever I got any resistance from policemen, they'd get involved and say, "Get away, let him go." Yeah. And it was just unbelievable.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah. So, yeah, there was just crazy stories that you got complete access to the crime scenes, to the victims. And here, if there's been a serious crime, it's very difficult to speak to people affected and their families. It needs a lot of careful handling.
And what's the communication like here with the police and press?
They really it's deteriorated. Well, that's probably the wrong word, but it's changed a lot. When I first started out at my local paper, you'd go and see the police inspector. On a morning, he needs to say, "Look, these are the crimes that happened overnight or over the weekend." All that has gone a long time, and they have like a professional press office now who will, will not give you as much information as you used to.
Already worded it for you.
Yeah, and that's tricky.
It's a bit like Chinese whispers. It gets diluted and diluted and diluted a little bit more each time.
You do. But in terms of Eddie and his team, they could not have been more helpful. They were just they'd say, "Look, do you want to speak to the victim?" I said, "Oh, definitely." And they'd go and say, "This guy's from the dispatch." have a word with him. And they just lay the groundwork for you.
Amazing.
Yeah, just completely different. I mean, that has changed a lot now.
Yeah.
I was very lucky to be there at that point in time with him in charge of that.
That seems to be your life, sort of leading up to what we're talking about now. It's that the sliding door moments and the fact that you're not afraid to ask. Yeah. That's one thing that seems to be coming through. You're not afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Went to that, asked if you could have a job, then asked if you can get onto the crime.
It's
a good lesson for people. There's a lot of people that are afraid to just ask the question.
Look, all people are going to say is no.
Yeah.
No, thank you. But good luck and carry on going.
But it looks good on you, though, asking those questions.
Well, my grandma always said, "Shy kids getting out."
Yeah, that's right.
So you've got to shout up and put yourself forward.
Was there any stories that stood out for you when you were doing the crime in South Africa?
When I was on that,
you know what I've asked.
Yeah. Well, there's quite a few.
Wait for this, folks.
No. Listen, I need to tell you, I don't want to talk about this.
That's fine.
I'm
don't want to.
I'm not being cute because I know it's quite a good story. It's just the guy who is about is still knocking about.
No, let's not talk about it.
I wouldn't want to sort of show him in a bad light.
No, that's fine. Any others that you want to...
Well, yeah. No, you mentioned
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, just to talk about how crazy the place was, I solved a murder.
You solved the murder.
I solved a murder. Now, when I say solved it fell into my lap completely.
Oh, no.
It's the story of your life.
But it was just the most surreal couple of days when this happened. So get a call. A body's been found near the beachfront in the city. A young woman, and the police are down there at the moment. And the forensics are there. Do you want to get down? So me and the photographer go down, and as we're driving down to the scene, my heart sinks because opposite where the body's been found, my friend lives, who's a woman of a similar age to who they've what they've described to me on the phone. So all I'm thinking is, oh God, it's her. It's her. She's probably been attacked on her way home. So really nervous. So we go to the crime scene, which is through this wooded area, and we meet the police coming out there, and I see she's on the stretcher, and I see straight away it's not my friend. And it's like this real bizarre sensation of being relieved, but obviously at the same time, there's
still someone there. Yeah,
it's tragic. So we do the story. Woman's body found. She'd been drinking in this pub nearby, so we go and see this guy who runs the pub. He doesn't like us because we're just in a story about his pub selling cocaine. So it's like, oh God, it would be this bloke, wouldn't it? So he didn't really want to talk to us, but he did. He gave us a few tips that. He remembered this woman, and she'd been drinking with a guy in this something called a Mediba shirt, which is like a Hawaiian shirt.
Right, okay.
So we had that, went back to the office. We managed to track down family members, so we went and spoke to them. They gave a tribute to their loved one. Basically, she'd gone out with her sister, gone drinking. Sister had gone home early. She had met this bloke, and they'd left together, and she'd been murdered. He murdered her. Oh my God. Or so we thought. So we have the story, and we talk about this mysterious guy in this Mediba shirt. And paper goes to bed. Next morning, I arrive at work, 8 o'clock in the morning, and there's this woman waiting to see me. And she's really agitated, this woman. And she says, I'm really worried by the story you've written because I think that man is my brother. And she said, I'm really worried what's happened to him. It hadn't occurred to her that he was like the prime suspect. She thought something bad had happened to him. So I sort of got all the details and said, you don't have a picture.
She assumed that they'd both been.
Yeah. So she thought that this guy, something bad had happened to him. And I'm talking to him, getting the details. And I'm thinking, right, we need a photograph of this guy. And she didn't have one. I said, well, we'll give you a lift home and you can get one from home. And somewhere, at some point between us getting up to walk to the door, the penny dropped. And you could see almost a realisation in her face that actually maybe he's involved in this rather than a victim of it. So anyway, so she bolts and she's gone.
Right.
So I need to speak to the police now because obviously I've got their prime suspect, and also I need an official comment so we can report that he's the prime suspect. So I phone the police, no answer. So I tried every single number, no answer. And it's Christmas. It's the 23rd of December. It's Christmas. So I'm thinking, where the hell are they? So I'm phoning this number. The headquarters is 2 blocks away. So I run down there, go into the headquarters, deserted. Oh. It's all open. Anyone could walk in there, but there's no one to be seen at all. No one. So I think, honestly, the police have just disappeared. The police of the city are nowhere to be seen. And to cut a very long story short, I finally ended up phoning their version of 999. To say, do you have any idea where your senior officers are?
Oh, my goodness.
And it goes, oh yeah, it's a Christmas party.
Oh my gosh.
So all right, okay. So where is it? It's at this yacht club. So I phone the yacht club, finally get through to one of them. It's look, here's your man, this is his name, this is the address, here's his description. I need a quote. So, oh, come on, mate, it's Christmas. Come down and have a drink.
Oh my God.
The thing is, for you, it's something really good, something that's going to spark you. But for them, day in, day out.
Yeah. And they were not interested in going back to work and filing a report and that.
Isn't it funny how they're all there?
Yeah.
So if you want to commit a crime, do it on the Christmas do.
Yeah. Find out when they're at their Christmas party.
They had a great time. So I'm sat at my desk thinking, well, I've got this great story. What do I do?
Just solved this murder.
My boss comes over to me, and there'd been an order from the editor. We're finishing at 2:00. It's Christmas. People want to go off with their friends and the family. And at 1:30, the editor comes over and says, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm trying to put this story together. I've solved a murder.
Yeah.
I've solved a murder. He says, Matt, it's your job to write about murders, not solve them. Now, follow your story. We're off. And that was it.
Bank that one for
Oh
later.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so there's that. That was,
Did they ever catch him?
yeah. They caught him. He ended up in a psychiatric hospital. He escaped, and then I think they caught him after I was back here. I think they caught him again. And he was sentenced to life in prison. Wow. But yeah, it was just this crazy couple of days with that story. Yeah.
It's weird how the penny dropped. Do you feel you said something that triggered something in her head?
Well, I think because I was so interested and I was asking lots of questions, and it just you just saw all of a sudden the realisation, and she was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to keep it. You got to keep it like, don't worry, we'll find your brother. That type, haven't you? You got like, some sort of. I know it's happened, but if it ever happens to you again,
The horse is bolted on that one. Yeah.
I'm really good at.
Hindsight.
After our wedding, I was still working on my speech after the wedding.
He kept saying,
I can make that better.
Someone said that. I'm like, it doesn't matter. We're married now.
Yeah, it's annoying.
But the other story that comes to mind, just to prove what an alien environment it was at times, was me and a mate of mine, a photographer, we're coming back from a job, and we just see all these police cars going into this Duncan village, this squatter camp I mentioned, and police cars and what you call Caspers, which are armoured personnel carriers,
Right, okay.
so with like Riot squad units. So we thought, well, we'll best follow them because there's something going on. and we get there.
You are nosy.
We get there. There's loads of police, but there's hundreds of people surrounding this tiny house, but no bigger than this room. And so I saw a friendly policeman I kind of knew. I said, "What's going on?" He said, "A 15-year-old girl in this house. She was outside at dawn, behaving strangely, and the community thinks she's a witch."
Oh God!
Because a lot of people, they believe in sorcery, and they believe very superstitious people.
Even now, would you say?
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about people with no access to education.
Yeah.
A lot of them come from rural areas where that sort of thing's practiced all the time.
Yeah.
So she's a witch, and they're going to kill her. So the mob. I mean, it's a couple of hundred people, and they're baying to get in this house. The police have arrived just in time, and we're stood there watching. And then the police, the riot unit guys, they go in there with massive shields, and they basically make a tunnel from her front door to the riot unit van, so she can run through and get into the van and away to safety, and to never return. She could never return to the house.
And what was it? What was wrong?
Well, I don't know. We never got to the bottom of why she was behaving strangely. She might have,
It's probably a mental health disorder or something like that, or drugs or anything.
No idea. But they were determined to get her. But so
the thing is, if they murdered her, then what would have happened? Do you know what I mean? How would they have dealt with that?
Yeah, it's crazy. But where it started to get out of hand is when she got into the van pulled off. They're not happy, these people, and they start throwing rocks and stones. And we're in the middle of this. So we're legging it back to the car. I get hit in the face with a stew. I get hit on the knee with a rock. And I'm always grateful for the photographer who's been really experienced. And he taught me something really important about going into these environments. Always park your car facing towards the road.
Yes.
Because you don't want to be trying to reverse.
No.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And it just, from nothing, it just erupted.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Gosh.
So how many years were you in?
So I was there for 4 years.
Okay.
I was at the dispatch for 3 years of those. And then I did 2 years as a crime reporter. Yeah.
So was the crime, when you came back to England, was your last job there crime reporting?
It wasn't for about.
What did you ask for this time, Matt?
No, for about 3 months before I came back, I became a late reporter. Doing the late shift. A lot of that was crime, but it was a late reporter because my now wife, she was the late news editor, so it made sense to be on the same shift.
Oh, right, okay, so she followed similar, well, I wouldn't say she followed your footsteps.
Yeah,
but,
I met her there, and when my time came to come back here because of work permit issues, we got married, and she came.
Oh, sorry, I thought. Oh, right. Is this you've been married twice? No.
The South African girl was just a
girlfriend.
Girlfriend, yeah.
Oh, right.
Then that didn't work out when I was there, and I met my wife. And,
Oh, right. Perfect.
Yeah. So.
It's another sliding door for you.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so back here,
So,
and was it KM straight away?
No, I worked up in London for this this newspaper group up there in South London, and
You don't want to mention them, or?
well, I mentioned to you previously how no one believed my stories.
Yes.
And I stopped talking about them after 6 weeks because you could just tell people thinking, "Oh,
He's a bullshitter.
Yeah.
This is bollocks." You can see, and this, I just started this job, and everyone goes out for lunch, and we're sitting on this table, and someone says, "Well, Matt, tell us about your job in surrogate." So I can't even remember what the story was I told, but it was just like a normal day for me. And I finished telling the story, and I looked around the table. Just stony faces. No one commented at all. Then eventually someone says, "Did anyone see Big Brother last night?" Yeah, it was like, "Oh, okay then." You know.
So I thought, oh, he needs to make friends. He's making up all this crap.
Oh my goodness.
So that was the pivotal point where you think, maybe I shouldn't tell my
So was you there long, or?
Yeah, I was there for 5 years. Then I moved down to Kent and got the job with the KM.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And can you see you ending your career at KM?
Don't know. Who knows what will come along? Another sliding doors moment, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's a great place to work, KM, because it just constantly evolves. And we launched a subscription model end of last year. So we've got a paywall now on Kent Online.
Oh, right, okay.
So at the moment, you can read loads of stories on Kent Online, but then eventually you hit a paywall, and we ask people to subscribe.
And they do it, do they?
Yeah, we've got 2,000 subscribers since we did it.
Right.
So people value it, and it helps us because it's a revenue stream as well.
What is the decline of print? Is it literally, do you print at all?
Yeah, we do. We still sell thousands and thousands of papers,
Right.
but we are aware that print will come to an end at some point. The demographic reading newspapers is to the older end of the market.
Yeah. See, that's why I'm in the toilet roll industry, because you can't wipe your ass with an app.
very wise.
Not yet.
Well, AI might help you out.
You know.
Yeah. But I mean, something interesting happened a couple of years ago in terms of print. We produce this thing called My Mum every year, and it's like the supplement of kiddies' drawings.
Oh, yes, I've got those.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah,
love it.
It's one of our favourite weeks of the year when we publish it because it's lovely.
Father's Day one as well.
Yeah. We do that. We do Mother's Day and Father's Day. But a couple of years ago, the strangest thing happened where we started getting calls from young mums saying, "How do I get this?" And I said, "Well, just go to the shop and buy a paper." "What's a newspaper?"
You're joking.
God.
I promise you. It's happened loads of times. And well, it's a newspaper. And it's really hard to explain what a newspaper is to someone who's got no concept of what one is.
Yeah.
And I said, well, go down. Where do you live? I'll look where they live. I said, well, there's a Sainsbury's around the corner from you. There'll be one there. But what do I do? How do I get it? And so it's on the shelf. And no concepts at all. And I just realised we're now dealing with the first generation of people who just don't.
Yeah.
No.
But, I mean, my daughter... I don't think she'd ever read a paper, bearing in mind what I do for a living. I gave her one to read once, and she looked at me as if I was mad.
Yeah.
Make paper airplanes or
I've got a Spectrum Plus in my mum's loft, and I'll be clearing the loft soon, and I'm going to film the kids try and work it out.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah. But I must admit, when the Queen passed away, and my son really wanted to know what was happening, and I think we were going to school. So you said, get a paper, because obviously it's very, very iconic, you know, save the paper. And he sat there and he read the paper, and he literally did this, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, Mum," and he was reading bits out of it. And I think that's possibly the only time he's actually ever read a paper like that. But yeah, it's amazing how the younger generation don't understand what a paper is. That's really strange.
But we're still going. We still publish papers throughout Kent. As I say, thousands of readers still. But you've got to plan for the future. And Kent Online is incredible. 2 million people a month reading it. One of my favourite stories I always tell about Kent Online and why I'm proud to work there is again, this is me being nosy, but whenever I'm going somewhere, if I see an incident, like say there's a police cordon or something, I'll always stop to go find out what's going on. And the number of times I've stopped and gone over and said, "Look, what's happening here? We don't know, but check Kent Online, they'll know."
Really?
Yeah. And I mean, that's not just once. I mean, there's half a dozen times that's happened. So, yeah.
And then you're like, okay.
Thanks for that. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Guys, we've got to get on this.
When I was an apprentice, the guy that was sort of training me every now and then, he really wanted to be a fireman.
Yeah.
And he would do the same thing. He'd find an accident, drive up to it and walk and watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
Used to collect toenails and stuff as well. It was very strange.
That's weird. That's weird. That's almost my part.
Yeah.
Well, it's a hobby.
So what's
His name was Matt as well. It was.
Really?
Thinking about it, it was. His name was Matt. I won't say his surname.
No, it's a pattern. Yeah.
It's a pattern with
So
Matt.
what's a typical day like for you then? Do you edit a lot of stuff now, or do you manage more than edit?
It's a bit of both.
Right.
Probably 80% manage, 20% edit. But typically, the thing I love about the job is there's no typical day.
Right.
I'll walk into the office 8 o'clock in the morning, sit down, and I habitually write a list of things I'd like to get done that day. And more often than not, by 9 o'clock, that list's out the window because things happen.
Right.
There's stuff happening all the time, and
Yeah.
you've got to be really reactive. And you got reporters walking in, and you're saying to them, "Turn around! You're going out to X, Y, and Z."
Yeah.
So it is managing the resources you've got.
Yes.
And making sure the reporters are doing what they need to do, making sure the news editors who take care of the papers and take care of running Kent Online, they're doing what they're doing. And also dealing with the public as well, dealing with a lot of complaints. You get a lot of complaints.
What, to the paper based on how you've written something or your opinions of...
The biggest source of complaints always is court stories.
Oh,
So someone's appeared in court for whatever reason. One of our guys has been there, reported on it, and you get the call, how dare you, you have no right. And then you go through the law with them and explain we do have a right to report on court cases.
I imagine it's literally a template, isn't it? That you...
Yeah, kind of. I mean, this...
Or do you use ChatGPT like I do?
Well... Yeah, now you mention it, it's not a bad idea.
Honestly, it's unbelievable. I can put a whole email stream in and go, reply this to them now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, that's all right when it's email, but a lot of it is on the phone.
Of course, yeah.
And when I worked in Sheerness and other places, you're on the high street, so people will be coming in. So you'd have a confrontation at the front desk.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of the job is dealing with that, but also just dealing with the general news and deciding who does what and how they do it.
Do a few of your employees get attacked, abused?
No, we get abused. I mean, you get a lot of aggression towards you. Because I mean, to be honest, as a journalist.
It's bad press from the start, isn't it?
Yeah, but you shouldn't be pleasing everybody. Because a lot of the stories you're doing are highlighting wrongs that people are doing, whether it's a dodgy businessman or whatever, or a criminal. So although it's nice to be liked, part of the job is to shine a light on some of the dodgy stuff as well. And you're going to get a bit of backlash to that.
I think in that industry as well, you have to build up your onion layers, as I call them, because otherwise, if you are I could have put this the wrong way, but if you are a person that can't deal with criticism or can't handle it, then you won't make it in that industry. You have to have your onion layers to be able to get hard and tough and deal with it. Without
That's
sitting there
Rachel's
crying.
go-to thing.
Really.
The onions come out.
I've built my onion layers up over the years.
This is why we're still married. I'm about the fifth layer down.
I'm like, stop, get out.
Is there? You talk about obviously you having a list, and that list often doesn't get done because something's come in. Have you got anything that stands out recent that you've had to drop everything for to deal with, to report on?
Yeah, I mean, just yesterday. I mean, this didn't turn out to be a big story at all, but we had a call yesterday from someone saying there's been a murder in Gravesend. Body's been found in the town centre. It's a murder. It's a murder. It's a murder. You always take it with a pinch of salt when you're told these things. Then we get a picture, and there's definitely something that's happened. There's definitely a police cordon, ambulances are there. They put a barrier up so people can't see. So you think, oh, there might be something in that. So then for a good half an hour, you're trying to establish what's happened. So you're speaking to the person who's phoned you. You're working out whereabouts this is in the town. So are there any businesses nearby, any homes nearby, so you can phone them and see if people know. You've got calls into the police and to the ambulance service. They normally take quite a while to get back to you.
Yeah.
So you're trying to build the story as much as you can before the police give you their version.
Yeah.
So that happened yesterday. It didn't turn out to be that. It was a medical incident in the end.
Right, okay.
So that was just one example of,
So who phoned the murder in? Just someone phoning them?
Yeah, people just phone in. I mean,
do they feel they're going to get a reward for certain things?
No,
you don't really offer rewards for missing people or anything like that.
No, we don't give money at all.
No.
Because ethically that could become quite a problem. Because then people start behaving differently if they think money's in it for them.
Well, they'll start doing the crime just to get the.
That's right. I wasn't saying that, but
well, that's what I'd do.
But we don't.
Sorry.
Okay, this is recorded.
I'm only joking, honestly. Do you know, I've never set foot inside a police station.
Oh, really?
Can you hear something? Is that
Yes.
I think it's my springs. Oh, something's gone. Yeah, it's my springs.
Right.
Okay. You can't hear it, but something's going, oh. God. It was my grandmother to tell me to stop acting like a murderer.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, I forgot where I was. Yeah, I've only ever been in a police station to hand in a stray dog in my 50 years.
Really? Never been in a prison?
Never been in a prison, no.
I have,
Yeah.
but only for my job.
Okay.
Because I've been naughty. It's just for my job.
How about you?
Yeah, I've been in 4 prisons, and
Just driving past. What's going on there?
Yeah, this is walking.
first one up north, where I come from, that was interesting. 2 of them in South Africa. One which was a hellhole, and then one on the island on Sheppey, where
Is there 3 or 4 on Sheppey?
there's 3. There's 2 serious prisons and an open prison. South Africa.
Right.
But I went to Swaleside. Where they hold dangerous prisoners, and it was basically to meet the governor. It wasn't for a story because when you editor of a paper, you like to get to know the major players in your community, and you have off the record
Get a bit of
chats.
trust.
That's there. And he was fascinating. This guy, he was absolutely fascinating. One of the most interesting people I've ever met. And he was telling me how he'd started in the prison service as a young man, and at the same time, I think it was a young offenders institute he started in. There was a prisoner in there, and all the way through this guy's career, this guy's followed him.
Really?
He kept committing crimes, more serious crimes and more serious crimes.
Yeah.
So this guy was now in Swaleside as a prisoner. He said, I'll go see him most days, see how he is, because I've known him for all these years through the system.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's sad, isn't it? Because sometimes they commit the crime just to go back, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, a huge amount of mental illness in prisons as well. And I think, I can't remember whether it was this guy, but there's another story about there's one guy, his home life had been so abysmal. And he was so terrified of being on the outside, he kept committing crimes just because he felt safer.
That's so common.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, but it's interesting the job, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Things can change like that.
Yeah.
So with regards to reporting, the speed of reporting, how quickly, if there was a story, how quickly could you get that turned around?
Yeah, what's the latest you can start pressing something?
Oh, quickly. I mean, it depends what it is.
Because obviously you've got online now.
And where do you press? Where is it pressed?
In Cambridge.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
we belong to a group called iLift Media.
Right.
And headquarters of that is in Cambridge. Printing press is there. But we've got papers all over. We've got papers in Scotland, in the Midlands, in Hampshire as well.
What, being made?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. And also digital centres as well. So we've got websites.
Yeah, but that's easier, isn't it? The digital stuff. It's the physical stuff that's got to come back to Kent by the morning.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, it's a weekly, isn't it? Yours?
Yeah, the
weekly.
The weekly papers. So, which is fine. It's fine. the journey comes down the motorway. Only time you worry is when it snows.
Ah, yeah.
Because you think, oh God, because if they get stuck on the M11,
yes,
that's a problem. Because then
right.
they don't
get stuck on the M11 when it's snowing.
How many papers do you produce a week?
Well, across the country there's loads, but here in Kent there's 12.
Okay.
But we do different editions. So like the Canterbury paper, the Kentish Gazette, that's got a couple of editions, so that would count as 3.
Okay, I forgot about that. The regions of Kent are different. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So what do you think, talking about the shelf life of papers, physical papers, how do you think AI is going to incorporate into your world of journalism and editing?
It's a really good question, and we had a presentation.
She loves it when someone says that to her.
Thank you very much.
It's rare. It's rare. No one has ever said it to
No. It's a really good question. I tell you. Yeah. Maybe you should just take it.
I think we should have a scoreboard. We should put a scoreboard on the wall.
Or maybe just one house. I don't know. It's your show. I don't want to
Someone's got to operate it. Someone's got to push record.
Yeah.
Let's sort my mic out.
Yeah, she can't do a mic.
Right.
I can't with good questions.
I can't even remember what the question was. AI.
You've got a bright future.
Thank you very much.
So AI, we actually had a company in to see us recently, and we're talking to them about AI, and they deal with a lot of publishers. So in basic terms, at the moment, online, you'd write a headline, and at the same time you're writing the headline, AI would write the same headline, but better.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
And do you know about SEOs, search engine?
yeah.
So you'd write an SEO for a story, and the AI would look at that. No,
There's a more popular one than that, yeah.
Write it like that. That would be better for Google if we do it that way.
Yep.
So there's all sorts of things like that which will cut down on the time that journalists are spending producing the stories. It cuts down on a lot of the process. But you're never going to have AI going to see someone at their home who's won a prize or suffered a bereavement or anything. There's always going to be the human element required.
And I think because obviously there is always going to be news, whether AI is involved or not, there is always going to be news. And you need that physical human interaction with the news story itself. Write down whatever you want. AI can generate
the speed
story.
of the grammar as
but
well, isn't it?
It's the actual physical human contact between victim or whoever it is and editor. That relationship needs to still be there.
So something interesting that's happened in recent times is the generation of reporters now who've come through, they've all grown up with the smartphones, and it's second nature to them to communicate like that, by text or by WhatsApp or by email, and not talk so much. So that's how they've grown up. And we're always saying to them, for God's sake, phone them up.
Yeah.
Because you'll get a better quote, you'll get a better feel for the story,
Yes.
You'll be able to talk them into something. And more often than not, they'll say something completely which blows the story out and gives you a better story.
Yeah.
Or they'll
Because
say
text doesn't show emotion.
No.
But
And you
emojis
can-
don't show emotion,
can-
really.
No.
You can go, I'm not going to say that, and delete it, right? But if you're on the phone with someone and they've said it, you can't really take that back. Can you?
Yeah, but there's a bit in that where you can say the wrong thing. Like, I say the wrong thing nearly every sentence.
I know you do, but
And correct myself. So a text can make them sit back and go, actually, I've worded that completely wrong. I didn't mean it like that, So, yeah, it swings and roundabouts, I think.
But you're always going to get a better story if you speak to someone, and ideally if you speak to them face to face as well. Because if you just, as you say, if you build up that empathy with people and the human touch, then you get a better story.
So they would do that, would they? They would be texting.
Well,
what's happened?
you get. I mean, you get some reports. But when they first start out, you'll say, right, you need to phone John Smith, and then tapping away. It's, no, phone him. No, I don't
Some of them are afraid to talk, though, aren't they?
Yeah, and that is a big thing in society as a whole.
It's so common. The people that don't want to have a conversation, it's so common.
Yeah.
Really is.
Because I used to work on reception up in London, and it was whenever someone used to phone in for the managing director, and you thought, well, I'm going to have to speak properly now, and I'm going to have to speak to the managing director, but you just have to do it. And by the end of it, you knew his first name, you were on first name terms with him, and it's absolutely fine. But it's that initial, I've got to speak to this very
you've got a little
important
bit of
guy.
that. You've got a little bit of that in you, haven't you? I've got to make the call, got to actually talk to someone. But you'll be surprised how many wedding bookings I've made. Over 50% are made through text because
That's
how they want it.
Yeah.
I go to ring them, they don't answer. The same number that I'm actually having a text conversation with them on. And they'd rather now just text the information.
Which is fair enough. But in a job like journalism,
You've got to communicate.
you've got to be able to pick up the phone or go knock on a door. And it can be terrifying. When I first started out, the very first job I went on as a on work experience in my local paper, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. And it wasn't even like a frightening story. It was some woman who found a weird planet in the garden. It was like something out of Afterlife. Yeah, honestly, that's it. And I remember, and I was so scared. It took me an hour to work myself up. I wrote 10 questions down in case I forgot anything. And I go along, and this woman ushers me into the back garden. I ask the first question, and then she proceeds to answer all 10 questions.
In that one bit, and you're like,
oh God, what do I do now? What do I do now?
Yeah, I used to get nervous.
You've got to, I think in that part of respect, you have to think quickly, right? You have to think on your feet and think, okay, if we're discussing this, let's go down this path or let's go down this path. And you have to be able to think quickly like that as well.
There's nerves to it, isn't there? There's nerves to the well, I remember coming out of my apprenticeship, and then they gave me an engineering role for a year, see how I'd do. And then I would have to ring up these suppliers and I'd be given a name. And out of nerves, I'd say their first name and their second name all the time. Hello, John Smith.
John Smith.
And I'm like, what am I doing? And I'm telling my brain, stop saying his full name. But I'm so nervous. And then you've got someone sitting there next to you on their computer going, yeah. And
that's the worst thing when you're in an office and it's really quiet in the office and you've got to make that phone call and you're like, oh God, everyone's listening. Hello, can I speak to? And they're like, sorry, hello, can I speak to so-and-so? And you're like, oh God, everyone's looking at you. So yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Or words. When you're young, there's words that you don't, I still don't, there's still words I don't recognise, but viscosity was one for me. And I was buying a pump and they said, what's the viscosity of the liquid? I'm like, you're joking with me, aren't you? Because it's my sort of first day. No. What's I need to know the viscosity of it. I was like, no, you're joking. And I spoke to another and he went, that's like the thickness of it, you idiot. Yeah. And you just, it's a learning thing. And
it is, of course.
And you can laugh now, but on the day it was devastating.
Horrible. And it hits right here and you're like, oh God, swallow me up.
Yeah. Let's end it with these youngsters that want to be journalists. Any jobs going? I might as well ask. I might go for one now.
I might just turn up and go.
Apparently you've got a great future, Rachel.
You've got a better chance.
Yeah, you can. You can just go off with him after this. It's fine.
I've got a question first before you start wrapping it up.
I'm not wrapping it up, but I'm just wondering about people wanting to work for the KM. How can they go about it? Who do they speak to?
Mine's about misinformation and fact finding and
what another great question, Rachel.
Like that. How do you say credible to these stories?
Yeah, great question.
Thank you very much. I might call this the Rachel Barrett podcast.
Well, I know.
He's holding you back.
I know who our next guest's going to be. Matt's coming back.
We're just going to have a chat.
What's really important to us, being serious for a second, is that people trust us. Because trust is everything. If you lose trust, you're done for. We take a lot of time to verify information. So I mentioned this thing about the incident in Gravesend yesterday. There's no way in a million years are we going to get online murder in Gravesend or even body found in Gravesend. Because imagine if you're the relative of someone who's gone shopping in Gravesend and all of a sudden you're reading that. It's just irresponsible.
So you've not heard from someone, you're trying to get hold of someone, that type of thing.
That's it. So although you build up a story saying there's an incident in Gravesend involving the police and the ambulance and everything, it's not sure. We'll say we're not quite sure what it is at the moment, but we are waiting for the police. So people know we're on the story, but we haven't given away details because we just don't know the truth.
I imagine that's the same with RTAs and things, because that's the first thing I look as Ken online when someone says that the M20's rammed, something's happened. I go, what's actually happened?
You've got to be so careful. And it's all about your reputation as much as anything else. Because if you lose your good reputation, you're done for. You really are. But so if someone phones up and says, Matt, this is going on, I never accept it. And naturally, as a journalist, you've got to be sceptical about everything. That sounds really negative, but it's not. It's just that you've got to prove it's right. And make sure that people are challenged as well. You get a lot of people phoning up complaining about shops and restaurants and social housing.
One bad experience.
Yeah, whatever. So
it's like you, Rachel.
Yeah, but you don't just take it at face value. You ask questions, and then you make a call. Normally within 30 seconds, I know whether it's a story and whether someone's on the level. Just by asking them a couple of very quick questions.
How do you know what stories to put on the front?
On the front,
I suppose you get a number of headlines on the digital version, don't you?
Yeah.
But we do plan Kent Online. We spend a lot of time during the course of the day planning how it's going to look at 5 o'clock the next morning.
Okay.
So the same principle as choosing the front for the paper. We'll choose what will be the number one story in Kent Online. So when you get out of bed, that's what you'll see. But they're two very different choices. Your paper, the market, again, is that elderly market. So what are they interested in? So if there's a big health story about Medway Maritime, those people are going to be interested in that. They're probably using it more than a lot of people. So you think, well, that's a big story about Medway. let's put that on the front of the paper. But then in terms of Kent Online, because it covers the entire county, you've got to think differently rather than locally. And, what is the best story, to appeal to a wide range of people in Kent? And it's very subjective, there's half a dozen of us who sit in a meeting at 11 o'clock and choose what's going to happen. And it can be 3-all. People just decide you have different opinions.
So how do you deal with something like that then? If it is it your sort of your
Matt's hammer comes down.
No, I mean, the way it was structured in Kent, there's two senior editors, myself and my colleague Joe. He looks after the south of the county, I look after the north, and then we've got a boss. So if it ever came down to it and we couldn't decide, we'd say to our boss, "What do you reckon?" And he'll make a choice. But most of the time, it's obvious what the best story is. Yeah.
So you can ask your question now.
I can't remember it now. It's been so long.
Journalism.
Oh, journalism. Someone thinking, I want to be a journalist. I have a word with KM.
Yeah.
Do you think it was still just as good for them to walk in like you did in your early years and say, do you know what, I would like to do this?
As we're based on the Medway City estate in the middle of nowhere, if they walked in, I'd be seriously impressed. I'd probably give them my job.
If they swam in, maybe.
Right, okay.
But I mean, if someone did turn up on the spot, it has happened occasionally during the course of my career, and I'm impressed by that. I think that's fantastic. But normally, what you get is it depends the age of people. If it's like someone looking for work experience, it might be mum or dad that gets in touch. But if it's a job, more often than not now, you get an email. And you have a quick look and think, is this someone worth seeing? And what I normally do is I don't respond straight away because I like to see if they follow up.
Yes.
If they've got that hunger, and if they follow up, I'll say, well, we haven't got any jobs at the moment, but we'll keep you on file. And then we advertise on kentjobs.co.uk, on LinkedIn, things like that. Keep an eye out. And we've employed a couple of people who we didn't give a job to straight away, but we're so impressed with them at that stage, we got them in.
Yeah.
But you've got to be keen. You've got to be resilient. You've got to keep going. You've got to have a sense of humour. I know that sounds a bit sort of cliched, but you've got to have a sense of humour in this job because you're dealing with...
you're dealing with some dark issues.
Yeah,
sometimes,
you are. And you're dealing with a lot of people who don't want you to write about what you're writing about as well. So that helps. But the main thing is you've got to be keen. Yeah. You've got to love it. And it's not a job you can do half-heartedly.
Do you have people contact you and you're like, oh, right, she's ringing again with another story? Have you got a list of...
It's a very good question.
It is, isn't it? So there's got to be, you've got to have a list and go, oh, look, Mavis has rang again. And
yeah, you do. Poor old Mavis. Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? You must have.
You do get
and it's
that.
pinch of salt time.
You do get that. I mean, to be serious again for a second, you do get people with mental illness who are attracted to the media quite a lot. I had someone visit us in the office yesterday, and she clearly had problems, which is really, really sad. But you do, on a lighter side, you do get people who just want to be in the paper or online all the time, and there's not a story there, and they'll think it's the greatest story in history.
Two recorders.
Yeah.
That's from Afterlife.
Yeah.
I've seen that one.
Oh, have you seen that one? Yeah.
And then you'll say, you've always want to try and be polite to people, but you get to a point where you just got to be really blunt about it. And what I'll sometimes say is like, John, I understand why you're interested in this and why you think it's important, but why do you think anyone outside of you and your family think it's important?
Yeah.
You can explain that to me. That'd be helpful. And then the cogs go in, maybe it isn't a story. Yeah. But the secret of knowing when it's a great story and a rubbish story, if someone phones you and says, I've got a great story, it'll be crap. It will, honestly, it'll be the worst story in the history of journalism. Yeah. If someone phones you and says, I don't know if you're interested in this, that'll be your front page story the next day.
Remember that, anyone out there that's listening.
Right. Okay. Always start with, I don't know if you're interested in it.
Yeah, don't oversell it, for God's sake.
My cat's stuck up in a tree.
All right. Should we go to question time? We've got something new now for you, Matt.
Oh, really?
That we haven't, yeah.
Are you going to speak about my favourite song? Because I blew it.
I will.
I blew it last time.
Yes.
Did you?
I did, because I was taken by surprise, and
Wait for these questions.
yeah. Oh, Jesus. All right. Okay.
So he's prepared for the song one. He's got the
You
song
can tell us
now.
the song now. We usually do the song at the end, but did you give us a song? Or
I did. Because I said it was Wonderwall by Oasis.
Oh, yeah,
but,
yeah.
but it isn't. It isn't.
You can have
Take that one off
two.
then.
You've been on twice. You can have another one. Look, it's Spotify. It's endless, the list. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. So,
Yeah. So I'd probably say Disco 2000 by Paul.
oh, I love that song.
There we go. So that was what I was searching for when you caught me off guard.
So you was a Pulp, Oasis, and sort of Blur type
gotcha,
person.
yeah.
I loved all of
Yeah, brilliant.
I liked Blur and Oasis just as the same.
Yeah, me too.
I wasn't ever one or the other.
Yeah.
Yes.
Depends what mood I was in.
Some people couldn't get Oasis tickets.
Yeah. No.
Our first date was an Oasis gig, wasn't it? Their last one before.
Oh, really?
it was out,
So
yeah.
hence why I tried to get tickets and then got in that whole Ticketmaster sort of backlash and then...
I said, Rachel, I'm not bothered. I don't want pint glasses of urine being thrown on me. Honestly, Wembley, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah. How much would you have paid?
Probably about 200 each. I wouldn't go up to it's not worth thousands, is it?
Yeah.
I got you expensive Spice Girls tickets once.
Yeah, that's because there was nothing left and you were like, oh, no, actually, I phoned you.
You started around on that.
I phoned you with a problem with my car and you went, get off the phone, I'm doing your Spice Girl tickets. Put the phone
Did
down.
I?
Went,
That
"Yeah."
doesn't sound like me.
And then you were like, great, I had to book the VIP ones now
Yeah, it
for
cost
you.
me about 350 quid each or something.
God.
Yeah, see, I would be prepared to pay that, but
You
not,
just said
not
200.
thousands. Like, not
Put it in the paper,
thousands.
Matt. She said 200 first.
I've got a really interesting story for you.
Really interesting, this one.
Yeah. It involved the Spice Girls, kind of.
Spice Girls Oasis.
Right. Now you can pick 3 or 4 questions. They're random questions.
All right, okay.
Read them out and see if you've got an answer for them.
Right, okay. Oh, God, this could go badly wrong.
That's good. That's what I'm hoping.
Okay. Question number 13.
They got numbers on.
They have.
Oh, right, okay.
If you were a superhero, what would your superpower be?
Oh, I don't think we've ever asked that question before, have we?
Oh, I think it'd have to be
Nosiness.
flying at the speed of like Superman.
Okay.
And then that'd be good. 'cause
So you can get everywhere.
get around and be nosy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know what mine would be. What would yours be?
Invisibility, I think.
Of course it would.
Do a bit like this interview. I'm going to cut it like this.
You don't need a superpower for that. You're living it.
My personality's sorted that out. Next, thanks for coming. Next question.
Right. Oh, God. Question 16. If your pet could talk, what's the first thing they'd say about you? I haven't got a pet.
Oh, that's
Cat died.
Oh.
It's really sad.
Sorry, I laughed.
What's funny about that?
I don't know what. It's the way you looked at me and said it. I don't know.
I think if the cat was still alive, I don't know. Feed me.
He didn't feed me.
I thought something was wrong.
These are going well. Right, number 2 we got.
Okay. Oh, yes. Oh, good. This is a very good question.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wrote these, by the way, so look this way. When it comes, no, actually, I've got ChatGPT to do it.
Oh, if you could have dinner with one person, living or dead, who would it be? There's loads of people.
Okay, you can do more than
loads
one.
of people. Let me.
You can have a dinner party. There we go.
I bet I know one of his people.
Go on.
Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, possibly.
I would say
I saw Mandela tell off a crowd of 10,000 people once. Most incredible
He
thing.
told them off.
Yeah, he was giving a speech, and people were restless and weren't listening. And he comes to the podium and speaks in his language, closer, and he starts like, "You are behaving like brainless animals. You are children. I spent 27 years in prison for this," and he just goes into them like this. My friend in Pew was translating for me, so I knew what he was saying, and people were just like astonished that this kindly grandfather, he's just going for them, and he finishes and says, "Now sit down," and 10,000 people just sit down.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That's the power.
Amazing, yeah.
That's the power of.
But yeah,
It's honesty, though.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
yeah.
Well, honesty from his
Yeah.
part, you know.
but what I'm going to say,
Go on then.
I'm a massive Liverpool fan,
Okay.
and my favourite person is Jurgen Klopp.
Right. Okay.
And I'd love to go have a dinner with Jurgen Klopp because I think he's one of these people that is good at everything and knows a lot about a lot of stuff. So you could talk about football, but then you could talk to him about politics or business or the arts, or, anything. I think you could sit with that guy for 5 hours and just talk constantly,
Right.
and he'd be interesting company.
Yeah. There are people like that now. People in my walk of life, engineers that just know everything. There's certain people. Your uncle's the same.
Yeah.
You can have a conversation with him about anything, and he'll have some in-depth
Story
knowledge about
or-
everything.
Yeah.
And like a sponge, they take it in like a sponge, where mine just goes straight in and out the other side.
No.
It does. It does, Beryl, whatever your name is.
Mavis. I am that Mavis.
So do you get up to Liverpool often?
No, not very often. I haven't been for years.
I think I see a picture of you with a Liverpool shirt on recently. Did you post something recently with the family with a Liverpool shirt on?
I did a parachute jump.
Oh, right.
And
Okay.
I was wearing a Liverpool shirt.
Oh, right. Maybe it was that then.
I think we're friends on Facebook, aren't we?
Yeah, or LinkedIn. I think
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
Facebook. Only
Yeah.
like yesterday I see this picture, I think.
Yeah, so actually, it's my 50th birthday in October. And,
Oh, right,
And
okay.
the guys in the office bought me a replica Liverpool shirt from 1974.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
so I was wearing that. And I'd always wanted to...
I'm a 74. I'm 50. I was 50 in August.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Right, okay.
You're a year behind me at school because August,
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
the
okay.
youngest.
Oh, really?
You know, I mean,
Really?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Go on, yeah, carry on, sorry.
So that's where the Liverpool shirt came from, because the guys in the office bought it for me.
When did you start your parachute jump?
I did it on my actual birthday. So that
On
was
your
out-
50th?
That was out in Cape Town.
Oh.
And I've been saying for years, I want to do it. I want to do it one day. I did a bungee jump years ago. And that was... I wouldn't do it again.
Was you going into water or
No, I was going off a bridge into a ravine with no water at all. And
was it horrible?
yeah, I was like, typical me. Like, I was walking around cocky, and that's fine, nothing to worry about here. But when you stand on the edge,
And you've actually got to just
Yeah.
go. That just
Look, I'm all right. I'm all right with heights and things. You have to settle down a bit first when you do a height, you
Yeah.
know. But I don't know if I could do a bungee.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah.
It's just, I suppose when I'm assuming you did a tandem.
Yeah.
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 So with a tandem, you have no choice. It's if he jumps out, you
Yeah.
jump out. So there's no sort of
No. Yeah,
with a tandem parachute jump.
yeah. Parachute.
Yeah.
I could do
But
a
with
parachute. I think.
But with a bungee jump, you have to make
Yeah.
that decision to go.
The parachute jump is a lot easier, and the guy I did it with was really interesting. He was telling me all sorts of things about how many jumps he had done, and I was just chatting to him constantly. And then next thing I know, the door's open. He says, "Let's go," and that was it.
And no build-up as such.
No nerves at all.
Because you don't actually sit on the plane. He sits on the plane. You're just dangling out, aren't you? Looking down, going, I've got to go.
Yeah,
I've got to go down there.
but that's a lot easier than a bungee jump. That is. Yeah.
Now I watched this thing on. I watched this guy on Instagram, and he's like a chiropractor, and he lays people down, he puts a towel around their neck, and says, "Let's turn your jelly into belly," and he pulls on their head, and their whole spine clicks. Right? I know I'm not going off subject here. Did that happen? Did that sort of feeling happen at the bottom of the bungee? Did you feel your spine having a good stretch or anything like
I
that?
don't think so. Because it's so
springy,
it's so
yeah.
flexible. You're just like, whoop, and then you're coming back up. The relief is unbelievable when it starts to bounce back up.
And do they wheel you back up?
Yeah, they have a guy who's dangling too.
Right.
And then he kind of comes out and grabs you, and then they wheel the two of you. But he turns you back up, so you're kind of sitting in the harness.
Right.
And then you go back up to the top.
Okay.
But yeah.
So with a parachute jump, I suppose you might get that instant. As soon as they pull the parachute, you get
that little jolt. Yeah.
That's great. I mean, that's brilliant.
But the thing is, that jolt's getting you under here, so it's not going to do anything. It's going to compress your spine more than anything.
With the parachute jump, he had a speedometer on his wrist, and we got down. He said, "Christ, that was fast." I said, "How fast?" He says, "We were going like 180 miles an hour." On the way down, and I said, "Is that fast?" He goes, "It says it's really fast." I said, "Is that because I'm fat?" He goes, "Yeah."
Thanks very much.
Happy birthday!
Is there if they go too fast, could it rip the chute?
I don't know.
Do you know?
I don't
I
think
think
so.
you've got so many clips and so many backup systems
Yeah.
that it's probably very hard.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Google it.
Okay, we got one more question then.
All right, okay.
Unless it's boring, then I'll make you do another.
All right, okay. All right. Oh God, what's a talent you have that nobody knows about? God, I've got no idea.
We should call him sliding.
Well, you
doors.
don't even know about it.
That's how good it is.
If he did have a talent that no one knew about, then he could write it in the paper.
What would yours be?
Oh, goodness.
Oh, now pressure.
Yeah.
Do the Rubik's Cube.
That's crap. That's not going to get front page, is it?
Well, I've got a really good story for you.
Yeah, I'll get back to you. Give you a call later. Look forward to that.
I don't know. It's a hard one.
I know some sign language. Me and my sister had a bet. It was a New Year's resolution because she's always had short hair, and I said to her, "I've never seen you with long hair since you were a baby." And so she said, "All right, I'll grow my hair out if you learn sign language."
Okay.
So I had to learn sign language, so we can have a very, very short conversation in sign language if everyone else is in the room.
Okay.
And I know some swear words, of course. So
It's the first thing you learn, isn't it?
The thing is, if I do something good, I'll let everyone know about it.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem. Well, that's not good enough. We're going to get you to do one more.
Oh, okay.
I'll put them all back
He's
now.
ready to go. He's had enough.
Well, what's an hour ago?
It's only my good questions that you think
That's
of.
right.
He was so much nicer when Vince was on with him. He's attacking now.
What's the most ridiculous argument you've ever been part of?
Probably between me and Rach.
What's the
Like
date?
today.
Another good question. I'm going to go back to South Africa again, because I always end up talking about South Africa in some context. But I was with two colleagues on the pavement. One was an Afrikaans speaker, one was a Xhosa speaker from very different cultures. And the three of us are on this pavement, and we see a road rage incident in front of us. So bearing in mind, all three of us are looking at exactly the same thing at the same time. In the same context, and we kind of watched this. Then we were back in the office, and then I heard the two of them arguing about who was at fault in this road rage incident, even though we'd all seen the same thing at the same time.
It's amazing.
And I was thinking, that's bizarre. I mean, because it was clear what happened.
Yeah.
But they both of them have seen it completely differently.
Wow.
Yeah, that happens a lot though. We watch Uncanny. Do you watch Uncanny?
No.
Uncanny is about like ghost stories and things like that, and it's the way different people perceive different stories. And he purposely went into a classroom. He went into a classroom to give a speech, and then this guy came in and nicked his laptop and ran out.
Yeah.
And they said, look, this is an experiment. That guy, we arranged for that guy to come in. We're going to put you in groups and now talk about it. But what they did in that group is they planted a mole in it.
Okay.
And he said, he was wearing an orange hat. And they were, yeah, he was. He was wearing an orange hat.
Even to the point where they said, oh, he was with someone else. And even in the group afterwards, they were saying,
there was someone else there.
There was someone else. And I think there was no
one there.
Yeah.
It was just
and
him.
It's just the sort of suggestion.
And they relate that to ghost stories, when, you've all had a ghost experience, but then you're taking a bit from everyone's story.
It's
and
almost like Chinese whispers, almost.
Yeah, it's a Chinese whispers.
I suppose it's why the police interview people separately. So
imagine, that's part of your story is a Chinese whispers, isn't it? Listening to people and trying to decipher the correct story out of it all. It must be a nightmare. You must have to give up on some stories.
Yeah, you do. I mean, again, when you've been doing the job for quite a while, you can suss it out pretty quickly. But you get some stories where you think. You think this is potentially interesting, but then you start thinking, "Am I interested in this? Would it be a wider interest?" And we had a good call yesterday where I spoke to this woman for ages because I didn't know what to do with it to start with. But she's a teacher in a school, and she just quit. She walked out. She walked out yesterday.
Wow.
Had enough, and she was telling me some of the stories about the kids and the behaviour. And she said it was a living misery. It was an absolute living misery doing that job. And my job was pointless because no one would listen.
Yeah.
And
I'll ask you what the school is when we stop recording.
Yeah. You go back and forth. And I said, well, if we do a story like this, you need to go on the record and be pictured and all that. She says, I don't want to do that because I want to work again.
Yeah, she won't be a teacher again.
And she says, can you do it anonymously? I'm like, well, we don't really like doing things anonymously because how do people know it's true? How do people know we haven't just made this thing up? But then I started talking to her, and she says, I could be the secret teacher. And I thought, I actually quite like that. We could do that. We could do this,
weekly.
We could do something with that, and maybe just a one-off, but call her the secret teacher, and she could explain what her experience is and stuff she's put up with. But again, you can't really accept everything she's saying straight off. So you're asking a lot of questions, and how can you prove this? Can you back this sort of thing up? And so, but I think she was legit. So keep an eye out for the secret teacher.
Have you ever had to pull a story? You've sort of worked so much on a story and then just had to pull it last minute.
I imagine you're going to get stories that are so good, but you just haven't got quite enough evidence, and it could backfire on you guys.
Well,
and
there's loads. I mean, there's loads. We do a lot of stories where we need to get our lawyers involved. So we'll write the story. We'll say, right, we think we're there. We need a legal expert to look at this, and then they'll look at it and they'll say absolutely not. Yeah, and
you get frustrated with them.
Oh God, you do.
Are they sort of not on the fence? Are they sort of completely one side from you and don't want to risk it, or will they take a risk every now and then?
They will. Yeah. They'll the best ones will take your story and they'll respond. You need to change this.
Right,
okay, that's more helpful than just blanking it off.
We used to have one legal person who is sadly passed away. He used to work for us, a lovely old boy called Norman. He was Scottish. And my conversations with Norman were normally, hello, Norman. And you go, hello, Matt. No.
Straight.
All right, thank you. That's 2 days of what I've got. So you do get stories. Let me tell you a funny story about a story we had to pull at the very last minute, and I swear this is true. This was bizarre. It was on the Isle of Sheppey. So journalists always take a deadline to the last minute. You know, it's very rare. Only when England played, we finish on time. We finish early. You know, that's true. England are playing, your deadline half an hour early. If they're not, it's right on the money. And for some reason, this one day we finished early, and I'm sat there thinking, that was quite a decent deadline. That went quite smoothly. Thanks very much, everybody. And at that moment, the phone rings, and it's the woman on the front page. She said, I can't be in the paper. I said, well, there's half an hour to go until we're printing this thing. Why can't you be in the paper? And she said, well, I've got a few problems. I said, well, you spoke to our reporter. You posed for a photograph. She said, yeah, I'm on witness protection.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God.
And I said, you didn't want to mention this at any point.
And her full name in it as well as the photo?
Whole thing. Picture of her, full name, picture
Address.
of her outside a house.
Oh, my God.
I think the kids were in the picture as well. And you think, you've got half an hour and you've got to rip everything up and you've got to find a new story. And it's one of those weeks where I think it was summer. Not much going on. So I'm looking at what are the next best stories so we can bump to the front page. Clock's ticking, and I think that there actually isn't anything at all. And I swear to God, at this exact moment, this bloke walks into reception missing a load of teeth. He'd been attacked with a hammer in his house. He was walking to the police station to report this, and we had to walk past our offices to get there. And he came in to see if we do a story. Stand there, take a picture.
I bet he was all cheering.
High-fiving. He lost his teeth.
Now go and report this to the police.
I've been attacked. Yes!
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So you do. Things fall apart quickly.
Yeah.
And when you make a mistake as well in journalism, things can unravel quickly.
Yeah,
and
I can imagine.
when we make a mistake, they're normally massive mistakes, which have happened where it's just fallen through the cracks.
Yeah.
At different point, everyone's busy and no one's thought to ask a certain question or spotted a mistake. And we had one last year, a big mistake on the front page, and the mistake started with me at home being asked a question when I'm laying on the sofa watching football.
Right.
And I just went back, and then it made its way all through the process.
Oh my God.
And it was, and it went into, it was published, and then the people. involved in this were very unhappy, quite rightly, because it's a massive mistake. And you think, oh God, how did I do that? And how did no one else spot this along the way?
So did you just put apology on the next one?
Yeah. Phoned massive apology to the people affecting, and then in the following week's paper, hands up.
Yeah.
You don't want to play games with things like that. You just want to put your hands up.
Yeah.
And
That's
say,
the best way. You get the most respect like that, you know?
yeah. We always do that.
We always everyone makes mistakes, you know?
And
look at, sorry, I'm jumping in again, but look at road rage. You know, there's times when I've ballsed up on the road, someone's going mental behind me. As soon as I put an hand out and say, I ballsed up there, I'm sorry, it's just goes, diffuses instantly.
Yeah.
If only people did that more often, you know?
Yeah. A big problem now is you're making a mistake. It could be something like a basic spelling mistake in a story, and then you've got all the keyboard warriors on social media.
That's sad. Yeah.
And you're getting vilified for things, and you're thinking, look, we probably write 1 million words a year.
Yeah.
We probably write 1 million words a year, and the percentage of those that go wrong is minuscule. But you just need to take it on the chin. You know?
Yeah, some of it's funny though. My friend wrote an email. He wrote an email at work to everyone about something. He made the mistake. He wrote another email apologising. He said, sorry for my incontinence. Then he sent another email out. I mean, incompetence.
Oh,
Well, you never know. He might have.
Yeah. He will never live that down. That will follow him now for the rest of his days.
It's followed me for about 15 years now, I think. Yeah. Well, Matt, it's been lovely having you on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really
Always enjoy your stories.
Absolutely.
What was I going to say? We've already asked about it. You got any advice? Yeah, you got one piece of advice for someone who wants to get into this business.
Just keep trying. You know, you'll get knockbacks when you're trying to get into the business because it's quite competitive to get into. The people you're trying to get in front of are very busy. If you don't get a response to your email, phone up. Follow the email up. Just keep going, and I promise you, someone will eventually look at that and think they're really keen, they're really resilient, and they're kind of the sort of person that we want. But you've got to be able to get on with people as well. If everyone's quite shy to start with, and it's quite difficult to start with, but you've got to have that inner confidence because you're going to be walking up to strangers and trying to get them to talk to you about stuff. And it's a real talent, that. So you've got to have a bit about you and just keep going. Yeah.
And I was going to say, and a bit of advice while in the business, and you literally answered that with that question, I'd say.
Yeah. It's it attracts a lot of different types of people, journalism, which is good. But the one key thing is you've got to be able to approach people and get them to talk.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on again.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Great questions.
You're
really appreciate
welcome.
it.
Well done, Rachel. Do you want to end the podcast for everyone then?
Thank you for everyone who's listening and watching. If you'd like to subscribe and share.
Have you got them tattooed on your fingers then, those words?
No.
Oh, right, okay.
Sorry. I'm just counting them down.
Brilliant.
Shut up, Simon.
We're done. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks again, Matt. Thank you, Rachel, for such amazing questions. And we'll see you next time. Take care.
Club Awesome, for autistic children and their families, a place where everyone belongs and fun knows no age limit.
Today's sponsors are
Bond Carpentry, where precision meets creativity.
from bespoke cupboards to second fix carpentry, garden houses and even the Cherrywood Podcast sign. Call 07738 732 931.
Bond Carpentry, licensed to drill.
This podcast has been brought to you by Snugdubs Camper Van Hire.
Roam the world, park anywhere.
That's snugdubs.co.uk.